first of the 3 races from Milan-San Remo. Well, it was on Saturday, March the 21st, 1992. The 83rd edition, starting from Milan, heading down to San Remo, 294 kilometres. The longest of all of the single-day classics, and not just opening the Italian cycling season, of course, it is opening the whole of the world of classic racing for the year. As always, the biggest field of the classic season, and the riders crossing the caps of the Passo Torcino after 144 kilometres, the Capo Mele at 243 kilometres, the Capo Servo at 248, the Capo Berta at 256, and the last 2 climbs, the Suppressor and the Poggio coming just 4 kilometres from the end. Looking down on the peloton now, and we're looking down on them as they start the climb of the Capo Berta. And as always, it's been a long, swift ride coming down in warm and sunny weather since we left Milan, although it's becoming overcast now. And this, the biggest ever World Cup field of 219 riders, although they're not all still in the race, but most of them surely are. We've had a long breakaway by Fabrizio Convalli, but he's having got a lead of 21 minutes and 50 seconds at one point. He's now back in the field and probably in the sag wagon if we knew the truth. This is in fact Jesper Skibby who's going clear. These last few hills towards the end now, the riders are trying their luck, and Skibby, one of the great cyclists from Denmark, his father was Willy Skibby, who took part in the World Championships in 1966. None of these climbs are severe, but they do offer the opportunity to break the tight grip so traditional in Milan-San Remo. And that in fact is Furlan, Giorgio Furlan, who's trying to get away here for the Ariostia team. That's the team in which Moreno Argentin is very much a rider. And the speed, he's gone clear here. Good sign too, he might have a few teammates trying to block for him. He's trying to get across to Jesper Skibby, and a tulip rider has gone after him. There's Skibby, the tall legs of this very jovial man from Denmark, always good for a joke and a jest when he's not seriously racing on the Dutch TVM team. Beautiful roads here. This is one of the most picturesque of all of the classic races. It runs right down the coast of Italy once it turns onto the coast at Voltri after the Torcino Pass, and then follows the Tyrrhenian Sea all the way through to its finish in San Remo. On the descent now, the Capo del Berta. Jim van der Leer is the rider from Tulip alongside. They're trying to pull back Jesper Skibby. 3 will go better than 1 right now, because at this stage of the race the field are not very far behind at all. And Skibby turned professional back in 1986. Had a reasonably successful career as a Danish amateur rider. He rode in the team time trial in the World Championships in 1985 and then turned pro. Into the little town of Oneglia. And this means that we are now 35 kilometres from the finish, about 22 miles. These beautiful Italian towns, old buildings, very much reminiscent of days gone by from Roman times. And Skibby now searching his way through the streets, looking extremely good at the moment. But I'll tell you what, he'll have to go well to hold off the chasing pack at this stage of the race. As we look down the street though, he still has a gap there. The 2 riders could be seen in the distance that are chasing him, Jim van der Leer from the Tulip team, and alongside him Giorgio Furlan. And Furlan's the danger man if he gets up here. I'm not too sure Skibby will have a lot of support from his TVM team back in that break, back in the main field, quite honestly. Skibby trying to keep out of sight of the chasers, hugging the right-hand side of the road. And they're the 2 chasers now, led by Furlan, who will feel he's got the Italian support he requires on home soil. The Italians prolifically like to win their own event. Gianni Bugno won it back in 1990 in record speed. And that really was the renaissance of Italian cycling. Since then, they've gone from strength to strength. Claudio Chiappucci, rare classic victory for him in 1991. Moto 2 signifying we've moved back to the chasers. And Jim van der Leer flying the flag for the Tulip team. Well, Skibby's going to give this his best shot, I think, but he could do with some help. The next stop for us will be on the climb of the Suppressor. That comes at 273 kilometers. Empty roads ahead. Well, doesn't Giorgio Furlan in this particular shot? He looks rather like Moreno Argentin, similar style, sunglasses, short curly hair. There's the main pack. What a beautiful sight that is as it threads through the streets here. Gutter to gutter. And still a lot of riders prepared to work, and in fact they're catapulting off the front of the group there. There's a PDM rider gone, and the protection for the Tulip team in second place. As we draw away, we get a good view here of the sea, and shortly we're going to get an even better view of the climb of the Suppressor. Skibby still going, could do a little bit of help. Maybe 3 or 4 riders will be all he would need. He does have a good sprint finish if he gets the chance to use it. But no Danish rider has ever won Milan-San Remo. Attila Nydam from the Buckler team. And prepared to share the work with him is de Coulinar, one of the top domestiques on the team, and trying to get involved there in a little bit of the disruption is Rudy Rogier from the Tulip team. He's there to try and break it up, of course, because Jim van der Leer is in the breakaway chasing Jesper Skibby. And once again, a little bit of picture breakup. It's due to the proximity of the houses and the microwave links and the motorbikes up to the helicopter. Well, I'll say this for Jesper, he's really riding like a powerhouse now, concentrating. We're onto the lower rungs of the Suppressor climb. Put the pressure on behind now. De Coulinar, Jelle Nydam going through. Quite clearly, they're anxious now to try and get the riders up there. Frans Massen's up there. Erik van der Aarden is here. So the Buckler team trying to get a result out of this race now, and I'm afraid they've already swept up Jim van der Leer, because that's Skibby, and Nydam is going to be the first man to reach him. Massen looks over his shoulder. He'll see his teammate Erik van der Aarden. They've wiped away that breakaway there, which we saw go with Jesper Skibby. He's gone back into that long line, and that race is now moving over the ground. Over the top of the Suppressor. A lot of riders looking around to see where the attacks will come, and going through Maurizio Fondries there, wearing the leader's jersey of the World Cup, because he was last year's winner. This is a superb piece of racing, but I'm just wondering why Maurizio is setting such a pace here, not trying to break up the rhythm of everybody. This is Raul Alcala on the left of our picture. Raul Alcala for the PDM team has gone through and gone clear. Well, Alcala's got the quality. He's got the ability to climb these mountains. The only Mexican rider ever to have won a stage of the Tour de France. He did it at Spa-Francorchamps. And now he's gone clear. Fondries has desisted. Jan Schuur from Motorola, and here's the camera, is there as well. And the Once rider who's come in is Johnny Welts from Denmark. The Danish really have got some superb individual riders now. Over in Denmark, there's not so much professional racing, but the good amateurs come out and find their contracts in Europe and really do put on a good show, those that make it. Here's Alcala now, gone clear at the minute. Looks very nice in his team colours of PDM. Little check down across the trees there, because he might be able to catch a glimpse of the chase bunch on the lower climbs. There's such explosive little climbs here. You can't really get into any good fighting rhythm. You've just got to push yourself to the limit and keep going. Another check over his shoulder. Well, As I was once told as a cyclist, no good looking round over your shoulder because the race is right here. You're making it. That's Jan Schur riding no-handed, the former East German, now on the Team Motorola. And sitting there just in front of him for the Ariostia team, it looked to me as though it was Rolf Sorensen. So another Danish showing well. Max Shandry going through in the Motorola colours as well. Well, that hard work by the Buckler team to bring the race together. You really should have sent a man away with Alcala at the same time. It was obviously that there would be an attack as soon as that field regrouped. Alcala allowed the Buckler team to bring the race together and immediately attacked. He's taken a gamble because he's gone on the suppressor, and that he went at around about 272 kilometers covered. The race is leaving him about 12 miles to go through to the finish, and there's two more riders got away from the front of that peloton. Left of our picture, we might just catch a glimpse of Alcala as we head round the horseshoe bend here. We'll try and get a closer look and see if we can work out who's on the attack down there. It's an Amaya rider who's gone clear, so I would suspect that's Per Pedersen. And he's been joined, another Danish rider by the way, moving clear. And the rider he's been joined by is one of the TVM team. And I'm pretty sure that's Dmitry Konishev. Well, there we are, it is. Konishev has gone through, so Per Pedersen and Dmitry Konishev. Konishev, the opportunist, as he so often has proven to be. Per Pedersen, the pro for a few years now, knocked on the door but never delivered the goods. Always had a little bit of a heart problem, and high hyperventilation of the heart has often caused concern with him. Well, I suspect that the situation can't be deemed as being serious, otherwise he wouldn't be riding so well today. He's up there now with Konishev. Alcala has laid down the challenge. And this would be a great victory for him and for PDM too. Beautiful road surface, it's made for high-speed cycling. They're riding this hill so quickly. And the Once team trying to mix it now. TVM trying to slow it down as well. And the Ariostia team trying to drive it on, because the Italians do not like being beaten in their own event. They haven't had a great run. In fact, Laurent Fignon of France and Eric Mackler, Sean Kelly, Henny Kuiper have all taken the honours away in very recent years from the Italians. And Gianni Vugno put matters to rights with a superb solo win in 1990, and then again last year up came the little Claudio Chipucci and took victory as well. Onto the suppressor as we move towards the summit. Gradient steepening just a little bit, and Raul Alcala beginning to show signs of struggling now as the metronome pace there by Ariostia. It's coming from Rolf Goltz, the German. And this is a rider who in 1990 finished second in Milan-San Remo, and in 1991 he got fourth in the Tour of Flanders. But I think right now he's in the team to try and get Ariostia's top guns firing, led by Moreno Argentine, Adriano Baffi, the sprinter, back into this race. We've seen Rolf Sorensen clearly at the front, and they're working hard. That's Goltz still stepping it out on the head of the peloton. And Konishev is in second place, and they're all back together apart from this rider here. Raul Alcala's holding on to an 18-second lead. So the little likeable Mexican rider shot to fame with an 8th place in the Tour de France in 1989. That's when he had his stage win. First time a Mexican had ever won a stage in the Tour de France. Of course, that's the year which we all know Greg LeMond went on to final victory. He's beginning to show signs of having a good classic season. He clearly has got good form, Raul. The Ariostia team have got themselves to the front now, and they're going to drive the peloton up here in a long, thin line, I think. They're very, very rapid climbs. Not really steep. And as we look down there now, it looks to me as though the team captain is in second place, and that's Moreno Argentin, and that was why Goltz was trying to close this race down. Argentin has come up through the peloton into second place on the chase, and they're closing in on Alcala. Will he make the Poggio? Because he's getting near the top of the suppressor, then he's got a little bit of a dive down through the valley again, and the Poggio is started round about 5 or 6 kilometers from the finish. Long, lonely ride, the traditional scrabble now. After the fast ride down from Milan, the riders now begin to try and get to the front and see if they can finish it off. The Benesto rider here looks like Pedro Delgado having a go. So all of the stars are coming to the front now. Delgado at this stage of the race coming up here. Not a particular type of classic for Pedro, but he's right at the front on his particular type of terrain. That's the climbing. Alcala continues to gamble. Hugging the inside track as they come round that bend. Still Argentin nestling there in second place. And I think we've got Giorgio Furlan back up in the lead, setting the pace. Once compact peloton is now being stretched. As any good professional will tell you, if you have any ambition to win Milan-San Remo, then you should hit the Poggio in the first 15 or so riders and go with the move that will surely come on the climb. Well, the road conditions are kind at the minute. 12 miles to go now for Raul Alcala, because he's snaking through the towns and he's staying out of sight of the chase group. Continually checking just to see where everybody is. And his lead is around about 18 seconds still. Now we're on the way down. And the riders are getting clear of the field. The long descent through the twists and turns, and the face of the race is about to be changed. Alcala has been joined here, and it looks to me like a tall, thin rider from the Buckler team, and there's only one I can think of, and that will be Frans Maassen. And that is a good move. Now this is the move I thought we might have seen when the Buckler team closed down on Jesper Skibby, because Maassen was lying second or third in the main field, but Alcala was the one who countered the move. Now this time Maassen has reached across to the leader by himself. And is quite prepared to take up the running here, Frans Maassen. But there's nothing in it because there's a counter move coming down. Looks like 5 or 6 riders. Well, Maassen has all the qualifications of winning this classic if he can get up there and stay there, but I don't know now. There's a lovely descent coming, and it looks like the majority of the peloton are all snaking their way down off these little sinuous mountains. Calls for an awful lot of skill because the corners quite often are tight and dangerous. See by the way Maassen descends, he accelerates away from Alcala, but Alcala tends to close the gap, leaves his braking a little bit late, and runs up on the back end of Maassen there. And there's a lot of yellow jerseys down there being worn by Ariostia. And there's one of them right there, and I think it's again Rolf Goltz who is bringing the race down the mountain. In fact, that is the other Rolf. That's Sorensen who's setting the pace now as they come down off the twists. And Rolf Sorensen pulling that line into a long, thin piece of string. Here's Maassen. And a quick check down the line. Oh, in fact, that's the split. That's the rest of the peloton trying to get on as we look here at the main field, breaking up all the time as they scrabble now for the wheels. We're doing roundabout here, 45 miles an hour. Sitting closest to our camera is Scott Sunderland, the Australian we caught a glimpse of. Number 227, sitting at the back of this first part of the split, but this is Masson in the all-important front end of the split, now being tracked very close indeed by Raoul. Won the Amstel Gold Race in 1991, Frans Masson, and that really is a great race to win in your own country. It has a tremendous support. And now the first counter-attack coming from the French Z team, Philippe Casado. Rode the British Milk Race once and went straight through a farm gate and disappeared into a field of corn, and unfortunately for him, broke his collarbone as well. But he's back to form now, and he looks like Philippe is going to be the first rider to get across. Well, they really have held off this field, and they've done it with tremendous will, because that race has been going behind them. We're streaking along the coast now. The next stop is the Poggio, and this is where the race is trying to regroup as far as the Ariostia boys are concerned, because in second place again we can see Moreno Argentin being carried along as best they can carry him by the teammates, and the teammate doing the carrying here is Rolf Goltz again. There's Argentin. I'm sure he'd dearly like to win this, but he's going to have to hold it until the last possible moment. He's trying to get what team seems to have left. This is Max Sciandri of Motorola. Another Italian wants to do well. Stephen Roach has come up there too in fourth place. What a beautiful pedaler Stephen is. Just sits there, rides the gears. He has to be the nicest bicycle rider in the world right now. And coming through to give a helping hand, Furlan has come back to the front. And Argentin will be pleased to see him go by him to start making the pace again. And Argentin now picks up the wheel of Furlan. Furlan's turn to do the pacemaking. This is marvellous team riding by Ariostia. Trying desperately to pull back the fugitives. Attacked by Motorola. Well, they keep on going, and they haven't yet been caught, and this time we've got the attack by Ron Kiefel now, as he's got off the front. I'm quite surprised people are actually being able to get off the front of this group right now. We've got Vyacheslav Yekimov there in third place, riding for Panasonic. Another man who's an opportunist, can win on his own, given the chance. And again, the strong men getting to the front. That bunch so much smaller now from the record field of 219 at the start. There's Furlan. Argentin in second place. We're going almost as quick as the train. And the people getting grandstand views from the passenger carriages of the railroad there. Sciandri throwing off his bottle, riding behind Yekimov. Maurizio Fondriest is back in the picture. He's just gone up into third place as well as they regroup into one huge pack. They're all trying to get to the front now before they make the turn onto the climb of the Poggio, because they know that you need to be in the first 10 or 12 riders onto the narrow road. That's when the attacks will come. And we say goodbye to the train. That'll be in San Remo before us. Here's Laurent Fignon. Frans Masson just behind him, Roach behind Frans, and Argentin to the left. And I think it's Eric Breukink who's also finding his way into the picture, just off to the right of our camera there. Well, there's no talking being done at all in this bunch, but an awful lot of fast cycling. They're trying to set themselves up here, and the Ariostia boys are doing so well. They've got their three men at the front. 51, looking over his shoulder is Moreno. Jan Shaw, Max Sciandri seem to be the Motorola boys. Phil Anderson, I just caught a glimpse of, has now come into the picture as well. And I've just seen Laurent Jalabert from the Oncé team, and he could be an excellent man to have around in the sprint finish. That's him, just his white helmet and yellow Oncé jersey, just below our picture. The pace continues to be set by Furlan. The woodied, furrowed brow of Argentin. Frans Masson waiting. And I think the attack coming from Lotto. Hendrik Verdant is the rider who's trying to grab the wheel. The race all together again now. Regrouping, reforming, ready for the climb of the Poggio. That's Erik Breukink. So you spend about 10 or 12 miles positioning yourself at the head of this peloton, and then you hope you can hold that position until you start the climb of the Poggio, when, if all goes well, you'll be able to move into the lead. That's the theory, and as we all know, it's not as simple as it sounds. Nervous few seconds as you come through the darkened tunnel. And this looks like Andrea Cerato from Gatorade. Very twitchy and looking across to see who's going to come and help him out. Stunning scenery, but the skies, we've lost the lovely sun we had at the start and we've now gone overcast. But really the weather rather nice for this time of the year. We're now looking at the Poggio climb as we move across towards it, and the riders very shortly are going to be on it. The last few kilometers of the long ride down from Milan. They've been in the saddle now for just over 7 hours. And Per Pedersen there, number 12, who was on the attack not too long ago, is now back in the rear position of the peloton. Jean-Francois Bernard is alongside him, just to the left of our picture on the Benesto team. Continual fighting to hold position as we move at a great speed here, around about 30 to 35 miles an hour. As you see the surge again coming up nearest the camera as riders rush to try and grab a nice position. And an attack, and this time it goes from, again, the Z team. It looks like Eric Boyer. Well, this is an attack from Z, and they could do with a big win. And Boyer goes clear. Greg LeMond's team. And LeMond riding the race, but we haven't seen him. And this is Eric Boyer. And he's the first onto the last climb now of the Poggio. That's the turn. And the Once team chasing him down, and surprisingly enough, the Arioster riders have dropped away a little bit. Sean Kelly's got up there in third place. And that's a little bit of a surprise. The great veteran of world cycling, Sean Kelly. As we go back up to the leader. Heading now, it's a very short climb this, but there's just a chance if you can get a short lead, you can hold it on the descent. The race finishing in the Corso Cavallotti. Once you're over the top of the climb, you're looking at around about, a couple, maybe a mile and a half to the finish. Eric Boyer, one of the strike men for the Tour de France for Roger Leger's team. Tempo starts behind now. There's a counter-attack again. That looks like Yekimov is going to go. Well, he is a real danger. He's the sort of man, you know, who could do the ride of his life if it comes his way. Vyacheslav Yekimov, the Russian, has gone, and he's going to try and make contact. He's an opportunist. He can't sprint, but he can win alone. This is a very good attack by Boyer. Now we're going to see Yekimov come up, and we're going to see somebody come up, but it's not going to be Yekimov. Oh, yes it is. Yes it is. He looks over his shoulder, and he's got company. It looks to me as though we have a Lotto rider getting onto the back of him now. Well, one or two strange teams. I must confess, I expected the Italians to launch the attack, but it looks to me as though there's others taking advantage of the big in-fight that was happening to get onto this climb, but the whole field has caught them up anyway and swamped them. Yekimov drops away very quickly, and now the action starts. Here we have it. And this now is Moreno Argentin coming up. And Argentin now trying to get really onto terms. He's waited till the last minute. His domestics have dropped away. It's all up to him on the climb of the Poggio. They can't help him now. And he's setting a very fast tempo indeed. And he slipped again. In fact, our camera a little bit in his way here, though no comment from Moreno. And the rider who's just got in just behind him is one of the Mobili team. It's Stefano Colleget. But the attacks are coming now, and it looks as though Argentina is trying to go now and break the spirit of these riders. Superb piece of attacking riding. He's trying to get in amongst those motorcycles. They're going to have to move to get out of it. This is so typical of this race. They really do get too close. Jalabert is coming into our picture. Laurent Jalabert. Well, he was the rider we spotted a little bit earlier on, and Jalabert could really win this in the sprint if luck was to go with him. He's answered the attack of Moreno Argentin. Hendrik Redant has come through as well for Lotto. Jan Shaw here for the Motorola team, and what a nice picture that is. Full horseshoe bend, and he's gone again. This is the second time we've seen Argentin attack. The second time he's launched a very strong attack indeed. And once again, the Tulip team have countered the move. And we'll try and pick it up, but again, it looked to me like it was Jim van der Leer who got onto the back wheel there of Moreno, and he's eased again. Can you believe that? He's seen he was marked out of it. He's slowed down again as we go up to, and he's gone again. He's waited. He gave them the impression 2 attacks were enough, and he's gone again. And if you don't succeed first off, then go another time. And this time, well, I was going to say he had the gap, but again, the Tulip rider has got across. Well, hats off to the way Argentin is riding. "31 years of age," it tells us there. And the rider who's come up to him is indeed Jim van der Leer. Again, he's having a great end of term in this part of the season. He's been on the attack throughout the closing stages of Milan-San Remo. He's now got across to the leader, Moreno Argentin, and it looks as though he's on his own. Yekimov falling back, but the champion of Holland trying to get across. And that'll be Steven Rooks. And van der Leer has made the gap, and he's hit the wall, and Moreno Argentin is free. Well, you cannot say this man did not deserve to head the field. He has launched attack after attack here, and he deserved to get up into this leading group. I thought we caught a glimpse there of Raul Alcala trying to get back up too, but he didn't have the legs either, and Argentina's gone. That main field is forming a regroup at the front, and if he gets over the top of the Poggio, then they'll be very lucky to see him again today. It's a technical descent, the Poggio, but he's going to have to take risks because the bunch is very, very close behind him. Once you're off the Poggio, you're virtually at the finishing line. And just look at the speed now as Fondriest tries desperately to close down the gap. He's seen his rival Italian go clear. And I think you've got Rolf Sorensen in second place, but he won't chase down his leaders, so Fondriest is going to have to do all of the work. Because Sorensen is on the defensive. This is Sean Kelly here. Sean Kelly, and look at the face of Sean Kelly as the rider he's with is Giuseppe Petito. But I think he's given way, and Kelly has gone through. Very difficult descent. I once remember Sean Kelly doing a great descent, by the way, in Paris-Nice. He went on to win the race because he went down the mountain in dense fog. And he told me the next day, if you want to win a race, you've got to take chances. Well, that's the way the likeable Irishman thinks. Well, I'll tell you now, he's going to have to do something special if he's going to get on terms with Moreno Argentin, because he's gone. Looking forward to what would be his first victory in Milan-San Remo. Area of the course, because of the narrowness of it, no spectators are allowed. They can't risk any cars being left up here for the way down. In the years gone by, I've been treated to 1 or 2 spills, particularly on this bend. And the field is still there. He hasn't really got away, you know. If this levels out at the bottom, it's still Fondriest doing the chasing. Last year's World Cup winner trying to get back on terms, Sorensen and Kelly. And the rest are right there as well. The technical part of the descent. And round the whirligig goes Moreno Argentin as he tries to keep the rhythm up. He's made his effort. He hasn't really escaped that field, but he knows if he can get off this descent, and he knows too that those riders must take big risks now to pull him down. He has the advantage of seeing all of the corners, nobody in his way. But you know, you take one look at the wall there, you cannot make a mistake. You overshoot and you would be in quite serious trouble, I think. Once off the Poggio, you're heading down to the Corso Cavallotti. And just look at those shoulders, rock solid, all of the legs doing the talking. As we pull back, now let's see where the peloton is. There's still an awful lot of work to do. Kelly's got himself to the front now. Sorensen just behind him. Andres has dropped back into third place. Then comes Steven Rux, the champion of the Netherlands. 3 kilometers to go, and Kelly kicks out of the corner. Well, Kelly of all people, this grand old man of world cycling, riding for the Festina team, the only team registered in Andorra, the Principality tucked away in the Pyrenees, between Spain and France, and Kelly is pulling away. Just look at the way that field is now strung out as Kelly's taking his chances. I told you earlier, he's done it once before and it took him to victory in Paris-Nice. But 15 seconds, I think, is too much now. Argentine continues to make the descent, cool and controlled. Well, it would be nice if our Italian friends would swing the camera back, and that's what they're doing. And Kelly's coming back. Kelly has closed the gap. This is tremendous. He's got rid of Rolf Sorensen, who was right on his wheel, along with Fondriest and the chasers. And Kelly must have taken some very serious risks on the bend. He must have left his braking late, and the others have decided not to take the chance because Kelly has gone clear. Well, he's always foolhardy, but look at this now. As Kelly swings round that bend, kicks out and goes for gold. It's all or nothing for Sean Kelly now. We're into the narrow roads, but we're not yet off the descent. And I don't think that Moreno Argentin will be aware that he's being chased down the mountain by one rider. There's Argentin, there is Kelly. This is a dramatic chase. The great thing about the Poggio mountain is that we have the advantage of the helicopter because our camera bikes really have great difficulty of staying in there. We've got one here with Argentin. But if this comes any tighter, I think the race referee will kick him out and make him go away. We're now off the descent of the Poggio. It's a straight 1.5 kilometer line towards the finishing line now. And Argentin will know now. He's looked over his shoulder and Sean Kelly has closed the gap. The mighty Sean Kelly is under the kilometre banner and he's freewheeling on. He's trying desperately now to recover from that chase. Just in time to go with Argentin in the sprint. If this had been a sprint 3 years ago, Kelly would have won, I'd have guaranteed it, but who can be sure now? But both riders are spent forces, surely. They can't afford to rest. They know that the chase is right behind them now. Argentin looks over. He's trying to calculate about the attack. And Kelly is on him. And Argentin's heart must have hit his boots. He looks at Kelly. He's probably trying to bring him to the front and coax him into the lead. And Kelly's done it all before. He's never going to be caught out now. Here we're looking at the man who won this race in 1986. Argentin goes again. And now we're lining up for the finish, and Kelly is flatly refusing, and the bunch is right behind them. They've regrouped completely. This is going to be a superb finish. We've been treated to the great attack on the Poggio by Argentin, to the great show of defiance by Sean Kelly, and the peloton are back in this race. They've got to go. Argentin knows it. It's either first, second or nothing. As they swing off this bend, Argentin is first rounded. Kelly waits and waits. The bunch is starting behind now. Kelly tries to go up, and there's a crash in the bunch, and Motorola are all down there. But Kelly comes clear, and Sean Kelly has got the victory in Milan-San Remo in the twilight of his years. Well, that is a tremendous result there for Sean Kelly. But look at the carnage behind here. Jan Shaw is on the ground. Max Chiandri is on the ground. Motorola riders are off, and that is a great shame. A touch of wheels in the main peloton in the breakaway. And they won't. That's Phil Anderson, I think, coming through for Motorola with the rest of the peloton. But let's have a look now at the glory here. And Sean Kelly made his move now. Well, what a dramatic chase off the Poggio mountain. At this point, he just made sure that Argentin had no more strength left, and then Kelly took time out to sit down and give the crowd who knows what may well be his last victory salute in a classic race. Superb win for Sean Kelly. The village of Carrick-on-Shore will be absolutely delighted with their man again. You see the fall in the background there. I think Jan Shaw's the first man to hit the deck, and he takes out Max Chiandri as well, and they start coming down. I think Michel Denis was another rider in there who also fell for Motorola. And Argentin, a little check over his shoulder and freewheels. First had run away from him. He must never have thought that. He was just making sure that second didn't go the same way. And bringing the field over in third place was Uwe Raab of the PDM team. What a great race. When we next come back in a few moments' time, we'll show you the 84th race from Milan to San Remo.